welcome back to Unilateral Everything, episode 8.2. This is literally like the exact same video. I'm just cutting it into two sections, so it's not super long for you. I talked about minor setbacks in 8.1, and going to be talking about some coaching of young kids, 8.2. So something that's really about a week and a half ago, I had a little tidbit, or I guess a tweet on Twitter that went mini viral, I guess. I started something called Tweets to My Athletes' Parents, essentially kind of breaking down just random scenarios I have with certain parents. And I gotta admit, I work with some of the best parents that you could ask for. The parents that bring their kids to me are completely invested in their child's future. I had a conversation with one of them one time. It's probably the coolest thing I think I've heard a parent say. She said, "I'm not here to drive my son's dream, I'm just along for the ride." And I think that's the mentality that most of the parents that I work with have, and that is something that I'm truly blessed with to be able to experience and to be able to work with as a coach. And the kids that I work with are just absolutely phenomenal. That being said, there are some things that it's always an interesting perspective, and I think social media plays a role in this, and sometimes perceptions can be altered by just by what we see, just by other parents that they talk to. I think everybody wants to be the perfect parent, and everybody wants to be wants their child, like, wants the best for their, for their kids, and that is 100% the truth that I see from my parents. They all want the best for their kids, but especially when it comes to training and fitness, I think that's something that there's a lot of misconceptions on what is best for kids. One of the big topics that, and kind of the conversations that I hang around on social media, is the concept of long-term athletic development. So raising kids up and training kids to have a good base of general athleticism. The more general athleticism, the more well-rounded you are as an athlete, the less likely you are to suffer from major injuries. You have a lot more options as an athlete. The sustainability from a physical and mental side is way higher. And so knowing what that kind of training looks like. I didn't train as a kid. I've played 8 sports at this point, competitively. So my upbringing didn't have any actual training in it. We were just kids. And I think that's one of the tough things that we deal with coaching younger kids. And I say we as there's other coaches out there that I'm sure may see this, that sometimes parents see what professional athletes do, for their workouts. Everybody's seen Luke Kuechly, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, like jumping 54-inch box jumps like it's no problem, or some random crazy height. Everybody sees box jumps, they see crazy verticals, and they're all, it's not necessarily the best thing for your 10-year-old. The tweet that kind of went viral was something along the lines of, I had a parent come in and their son was 7. Somebody actually called me a charlatan or a fraud for letting a 7-year-old into the facility. But some 7-year-olds are ready to train. They're ready to be in a slight structure of physical movement and kind of physical prep. Everything we do with young kids is based on movement patterns, and has some element of fun in it. At least I try to have some element of fun. My main goal is to let kids enjoy training. That's something that I'm a firm believer in, because I enjoy training. But I've had parents that have come and, well, they just need to get faster. One of the things that is really common is your child needs to get stronger. If you want them to get faster, they need to get stronger. And it's not necessarily resistance training they need to do. I had a conversation with a parent this past week A lot of times we're seeing this at younger ages now. A lot of my, I have a couple 9-year-olds that are absolute studs. They move very, very well. They're, from a mental standpoint, they're sharp. And so they're good to train with some consistency, and to consistency, they can train with more complex movements, they can handle more structure, and that's great for them. Not every athlete's going to be like that. Everybody develops a little bit differently. And so, but I had a conversation with a parent about letting her kids climb trees. I grew up climbing trees. I don't know why I chose trees as a standing point or a soapbox, but I think it's just a symbol of being a kid, especially boys. 7-year-old, 8-year-old boys, they want to throw a football around. That's fun to them. They want to be able to climb all over stuff. They see all the foam plyo boxes stacked in the corner. They're going to want to go climb it. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with within limits, but I think that's the conversation that I've been having more with parents, is a lot of their kids need to go be kids. I had a couple young athletes that were brought in a couple months ago, and I didn't notice it right off the bat, but as these kids were in the facility more, realized they didn't need to be in the facility. Like they wanted to throw a baseball around, they wanted to throw a football around. That's all they wanted to do. They only wanted to play games. And for me as a coach, looking at that, it's and this is kind of where other coaches agreed and kind of put that little tweet out, is a lot of kids don't just need, they don't need somebody like me, they just need a parent. Like I said, I work with some of the best parents that you could probably ask for, because some of them, if I were to tell them that, they'd be great. They're like, I'll go throw a ball with my kid. I'll go, I'll take them into the park. Yeah, we're gonna go play in the playground. Those are things that kids need to do. I had my parents. I love my parents in the way that we were raised, because we were active. We were, I climbed trees. I jumped off of things. We had a playground when at one of the houses that I lived at growing up. It had a 2x4 as a railing, and it was 4 feet off the ground, 5 feet off the ground, and we would walk it. We would balance on it, and if we fell off, we fell off. We climbed on slides, we ran, we jumped, we took our bikes off of ramps made of rocks, for Pete's sake. And a lot of kids don't do that anymore, and I think there's stigmas about it. Oh, well, it's risky, it's dangerous. Sometimes that's what kids need, and sometimes that's what they can benefit the most from. They don't need training. They don't need to come in and learn speed and agility skills. They need to be a kid. A varied amount of exposure is what's really going to benefit those 7, 8, 9-year-olds that haven't had that limited exposure. I've had kids that have come in that have only played one sport ever, and the issue for them isn't that they're not fast, it's that they haven't had enough exposure to random scenarios. They've only been exposed to baseball, they've only been exposed to soccer, and what we end up seeing is that those young athletes, they don't move their bodies well because they haven't experienced enough to really connect with each and every moving part of their body. I've seen soccer players that have only played soccer, and you ask them to throw a ball and they step with the same foot as the arm they throw with. If you've thrown a ball, that's not right, at least not efficient. Some people get it done somehow. Same thing with baseball players. You ask them to kick a ball and it goes who knows where. So that's something that I've been working on with parents, is developing more of a approach to letting kids be kids. Yes, our training's gonna look fun. Like I said, I work with some great parents to where they're starting to realize that, and they're realizing what we're doing in trying to develop that long-term athleticism. Most kids won't go and play college sports, and so that's something that's important to me, is to make them fall in love with training, to make them fall in love with moving around and being active, because sports go away, life goes on, and that's something that I want kids to understand and to fall in love with movement, just to promote a healthy lifestyle down the road. And so parents have started to realize that's what I'm about, and they've trusted me with that, which is fantastic. And the great thing is they're starting to enjoy a lot of it too. I put it out on Twitter and Instagram where I give my kids daily challenges. It's been stuff like Turkish Get Ups, except I don't teach them how to do a Turkish Get Up. I just put a ball in their hand, get on the floor, get back up. You'd be surprised how many kids actually end up doing a pretty darn near perfect Turkish Get Up, a more challenging movement by some means, with no instruction. It's kind of crazy. Obstacle courses, games that require some level of mobility and flexibility, core stability, and those kind of games. I've had games where I have the parents, because we have a big window that faces our training room. We have a gallery of parents that, as their kids are training, will watch class. As nerve-wracking as that can be as a coach, it's also a lot of fun when you get the parents involved. So being able to have parents sit there and say, give them a ranking, right? Oh, we're going to learn some tumbling today. Well, parents give us a 1, 2, or a 3. We throw a little competition in there. Not only do the kids freaking love that, it gets the parents involved, and really helps even further the bond between them, because yes, they're investing in their child and in their child's training, but they're also getting involved in it from more than a financial standpoint. They're not just backing it. So those are just a couple thoughts on training kids and parents. I talked longer on that than I thought I would, because I stutter a lot. I'm working on that. It's a constant flaw that we always work on. So I'll probably talk more about that in different episodes. But for now, we'll be getting back to kind of normal training next week. I get the stitches out next Friday, so we'll see what that entails down the road. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to throw a little bit more coaching stuff on Instagram these days, because it's just me lifting and I'm getting bored of it. So that's it for Unilateral Everything episode 8.2. We'll be back next week with 9. Wow. Not 8.9, just 9. Episode 9 will come back next week, and I'll find something cool to talk about then. Maybe I'll tell some funny stories about some of the kids I train. So that's what we got this week. You can follow along on Instagram. It's at LiftTauer, LIFTAUER. Yes, that's a play on words from my last name. Or on Twitter at lit_strength. Where I just talk about training little kids, tell funny stories about kids, and pose really interesting questions, because I'm just trying to learn as much as I can right now. Facebook at Coach Nate Littauer. My full name's Nathaniel. I realize most kids can't pronounce my full name, so that's okay. If not, people just automatically shorten it to Nate anyway. But yeah, that's where I'm at. You can find me there. Go ahead, connect, leave funny comments, and do stuff like that. Till then, we'll see you next time.